Okay, so let's unpack this. Have you ever felt it? You know, that really distinct feeling, that sense that you're not just sort of drifting along,
Hmm.
but that you are actually like squarely the main character of your own life,
Yeah.
the one kind of driving things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really powerful feeling, isn't it? That sense of agency, of being present in your own story.
It really is. And what's kind of wild is where this specific idea we're exploring today comes from. It's from a Japanese football manga, believe it or not, Blue Lock.
Right. Super intense series. And a character in it actually puts a name to that feeling, calls it the protagonist feeling.
Exactly. And our deep dive today, it's really digging into that concept, mostly through an article called The Protagonist Feeling, Living Life with Purpose and Drive.
Yeah, the article really takes that core manga idea and kind of expands it out, gives it a broader life application framework.
So let's just nail down the definition from the source first. The protagonist feeling is the intense, unwavering belief that you are the main character of your own story, not just a side character in someone else's narrative.
That unwavering part is key, I think. It's not just a passing thought, it's like a fundamental viewpoint.
hmm And our mission here is basically to pull out the core insights from the manga, from the article, help you understand what this feeling really means, how it pops up, the challenges.
And importantly, how you might actually try to cultivate it yourself.
Yeah. Like, how does something from a sports manga apply to, say, your job or your relationships or just growing as a person? Let's get into it.
Okay, so at its heart, it's really about perspective, isn't it? The article puts it as your relationship with your own narrative.
And you can see the split right there, can't you? Like, are you mostly reactive? Things just sort of happen to you?
Yeah, like you're just a supporting cast member reacting to plot twists somebody else wrote. Fate, your boss, whatever.
No. Or
Mm-hmm.
do you grab the reins? You acknowledge the outside stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the challenges, things you can't control because that's real life.
Mm-hmm.
But you absolutely refuse to give up control over how you respond.
Right. Like Izagi in Blue Lock, facing some crazy strong opponent. He doesn't whine about how hard it is. He's like, if I can't see the light leading to a goal, then I have to become that light.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You're not waiting to the path, you're making it.
Yeah.
So this isn't just like a mindset trick. There's real psychology.
Oh, definitely. The article links it straight to psych principles, especially self-determination theory. You know, the idea that feeling autonomy, like you're the driver of your own actions, massively boosts motivation, performance.
And life satisfaction, all that good stuff.
Exactly. It's the difference between feeling driven from within versus feeling like dragged along by circumstance.
Okay, I get that. So take a huge project at work.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it's just dumped on you, you're a side character in your manager's stressful story.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose to see it as, okay, this is my next big challenge, my chapter on mastering complexity, that's a total flip.
Completely. Or, a difficult relationship. Instead of just feeling beat up by the other person's behavior, you see yourself as an active author. You're choosing your responses, trying to shape the dynamic.
Doesn't mean it magically fixes it.
No, not at all. But it changes your role in the story from passive victim to active participant.
It takes the hard stuff and makes it meaningful within your journey. It's not random bad luck anymore. It's a necessary plot point almost.
And what's really interesting is how this feeling shows up most clearly in action. Both the manga and the article really point towards flow state.
Flow.
Yeah, that kind of magical zone, right? Where you're so focused, effort feels effortless, time just vanishes. That's seen as maybe the purest expression of this protagonist feeling.
Okay, yeah. Minali Csikszentmihalyi's work, right?
Exactly. Csikszentmihalyi found that weird paradox.
Mm-hmm.
We feel most ourselves, most alive, when we actually lose our self-consciousness because we're just completely absorbed.
And the manga shows that too.
Yeah, the Blue Lock players hit this state, this protagonist zone, when they stop overthinking and just become their will, their vision. They literally see the field clear, feel like opponents are moving slow.
Like athletes totally in the zone or a musician just lost in the music.
Or even, like the source says, a parent just fully present with their kid. It uses that classic Michael Jordan flu game example.
Oh yeah, 97 finals. Sick as a dog, scores 38 points.
And barely remembers parts of it. Classic flow. He wasn't just pushing through illness. He was so immersed in the meaning of that moment for his story, his quest for the championship, that he kind of transcended his physical limits. It's deep, actually. It shows the protagonist feeling isn't about being egotistical. It can lead to losing your ego entirely in the moment.
Just pure engagement. Okay, so it sounds like it's all about focus and flow. But here's a really interesting, kind of counterintuitive bit from the source material.
Okay.
This feeling, this protagonist state, it doesn't really show up when things are easy and comfortable. It thrives on challenge. Wait, really? That feels backwards. Shouldn't being the star mean, smooth sailing?
I know, right? Seems logical. But look at Blue Lock. Izagi and the others, they hit their absolute peak, their most intense flow, only when they're pushed to the absolute edge by opponents who are genuinely difficult for them.
So facing a rival like Kaiser isn't just annoying, it's
Yeah.
necessary.
It's the catalyst. Izagi's thought isn't, oh crap, this is hard. It's more like, okay, this match is where I evolve again. This is where my story keeps going. The obstacle is the way forward. And the article takes that idea universal. Think about entrepreneurs trying to solve massive problems or scientists exploring the totally unknown. The challenge itself is what summons that deep focus, that drive, that protagonist mode.
It lines up with Six Cent Mahali again, doesn't it? Finding satisfaction peaks when your skills are really stretched by a significant challenge. Not too easy. That's boring. Not impossibly hard. That's just anxiety.
Exactly, that sweet spot. And this reframes everything. That presentation you're dreading, that super competitive interview, that project that feels way over your head.
Yeah.
The source suggests those aren't things getting in the way of feeling like the protagonist. They might be the requirements for activating it fully. Like Jinpachi Ego Key Blue Lock character says, evolution occurs at the edge of your ability.
So the protagonist seeks the meaningful path, which is rarely the easy one. Okay.
It's easy to think this is all very individualistic, though. Just me, my story, my challenges.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that.
But the source material actually pushes back on that. It says some of the absolute most powerful moments come from these chemical reactions, it calls them.
Chemical reactions.
Yeah, when multiple protagonists, each with their own drive, kind of click together and align.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about you alone.
No. And this really tackles that idea that being the protagonist is selfish. In Blue Lock, Izagi's biggest breakthroughs, his craziest flow states, often happen with teammates. These complex, three-player interactions.
It doesn't make him less of the protagonist.
Not at all. It amplifies everyone's protagonism. It creates something bigger than what they could do alone. Synergy.
Like Lennon and McCartney, or Jobs and Wozniak. Huge talents individually, but together.
Wow.
Because their personal stories aligned.
Precisely. And the article applies this to work teams, too. The best teams aren't just one leader and a bunch of followers. They're like an ensemble of protagonists.
Everyone bringing their A-game, their own drive.
Right. With a shared purpose.
Yeah.
It mentions Google's Project Aristotle, remember that? Found psychological safety, feeling safe to be your full self, was the biggest predictor of team success.
Ah, yeah. So everyone feels like a protagonist contributing their unique part.
Exactly. It echoes the Blue Lock idea. The best teams let individual energies combine harmoniously. So it's not about dimming your light. It's realizing your story gets stronger, more impactful when it connects intentionally with others.
Okay, that's a really important shift. Not selfish, but synergistic.
But even with great collaborators, the source makes a really strong point. Sometimes the biggest opponent isn't out there. It's in here.
Uh-huh. The internal stuff. Doubt, fear.
Self-imposed limits. Yeah. There's a line from the manga. In this whole wide world, I'm the only one who can save me.
Oof. Yeah. That hits.
It really does. It feels like something out of Joseph Campbell, you know? The hero's journey always involves facing inner demons, right? That's where the real transformation happens. Beating the internal enemies.
You see it all the time, don't you? The entrepreneur frozen by self-doubt. The artist fighting writer's block. The student convinced they're not smart enough, even when they are.
Getting past those, that takes the protagonist mindset, that radical ownership of your own internal landscape.
Because you can't always control what happens out there.
Exactly. External stuff is often out of your hands. But your response, your interpretation, your choice to act or not act, that's always yours. It's not about pretending bad things aren't bad. It's refusing to let them steal your agency. The main fight is often internal.
And building on that idea of connecting stories, there's another layer the source gets into. Recognizing that, well, everyone else is also the protagonist of their own story.
Right. That's a pretty sophisticated jump, isn't it?
Yeah. Conflict isn't usually hero versus villain. It's often protagonist versus protagonist. Two valid stories just colliding.
And understanding that fosters a different kind of empathy, maybe. Not pity, not diminishing your own story, but acknowledging both. Yours matters. Theirs matters too.
So that difficult coworker or that family member you clash with, They're not just obstacles in your story. They have their own narrative, their own drives, their own struggles.
Exactly. It reminds me of that David Foster Wallace thing about real freedom being about awareness, attention,
Mhm.
choosing to care about others in small ways, recognizing their own complex inner lives.
Yeah, granting them their own starring role, basically, even when it's inconvenient for your plot.
It reframes disagreements then.
Yeah.
Not as good versus evil, but as these intersections of different journeys. You pursue yours fully, but with the awareness that others are doing the same.
So what holds all this together? What fuels this protagonist feeling? The force seems to point to one main thing.
Purpose, yeah. Knowing why your story matter, that seems to be the absolute core.
There's that great line from Bachira in Blue Lock. It's not about making the right choice. It's about making our chosen path the right one.
Ooh, I like that. It's not about finding some perfect pre-made purpose, maybe. It's about creating meaning in the path you actually choose to walk, actively making it the right one for you.
And that sense of purpose is like rocket fuel for resilience, isn't it? The article uses Malala Yousafzai as an example.
Yeah, turning personal tragedy into a global cause. The adversity didn't crush her protagonist feeling. It actually clarified and amplified it because she connected her personal story to this huge, compelling purpose.
And that works on an everyday level too, right? It's not just for global figures.
Absolutely. It's the parent seeing sleepless nights as part of the vital story of raising a child. The teacher viewing tough students as key characters in their own narrative of making an impact. The healthcare worker framing exhausting shifts within their larger story of providing care.
It makes me think of Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Exactly. The source quotes him. Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. That fits perfectly. Knowing why your story is important gives you the strength to handle whatever tough hows come along.
Okay, this is all really compelling stuff, but the practical side. How do you actually do this? How do you move from just understanding it to like living it more?
Right. The source does offer some concrete steps, which is helpful, actionable things.
Okay, lay them on me. Step 1.
Step 1, claim ownership through your language. Just start noticing how you talk. Is it passive? This happened to me. I got stuck with this.
Or is it active? I chose this response. I decided to tackle this.
Exactly. Shifting your words actually starts to shift your relationship with your story. Like Izagi saying, I'll be reborn as many times as I need. That's active, agency-filled language.
Okay, watch your words. Rewriting the internal script.
Yeah.
Got it. Step 2.
Step 2, actively seek out optimal challenges. Where are you maybe too comfortable? Where have you plateaued? Intentionally find or create something that stretches you. Remember, that protagonist feeling kicks in when your skills meet a real, meaningful challenge.
Don't just wait for it. Go find it. Like Ego says, evolution occurs at the edge of your ability.
Okay.
Step 3.
Step 3, create those meaningful chemical reactions. Look at your relationships as potential amplifiers. Seek out ways to collaborate, to partner up, where everyone involved keeps that protagonist energy.
So it's not just about individual challenge, but shared challenge too.
Yeah, workout partners, creative projects, study groups, mentors. Anywhere you can align energies to create something bigger together.
Right. Frame relationships as potential boosts, not just drains. Makes sense. Step 4.
Step 4, practice present moment immersion. This links back to flow. Just work on being fully here in whatever you're doing.
Even boring stuff.
Yeah, maybe especially then. Whether it's work, a conversation, exercise, even rest. Train that focus muscle.
No.
Be fully in the scene you're currently in.
Okay. Be present. And the last one, step 5.
Step 5, reframe obstacles as plot points. When things get tough, and they definitely will consciously ask, okay, how does this serve my story? What growth does this challenge make possible?
So not pretending it isn't hard.
No, but seeing it as a necessary part of the narrative arc, not just random static or proof you're failing, seeing its meaning within your larger story.
Wow. Okay. So it really comes back to that Izagi idea, doesn't it?
Mhm.
You shouldn't aim to be the one that gets chosen, but the one that chooses. Taking charge of the pen.
Absolutely. No matter what life throws at you, that internal space, your response, your interpretation, your choice to act, your ability to grow, that's always yours. It reminds me of another Ego quote about luck. He says something like, luck isn't just random chance. It's an underlying element that reaches only those who move by their will. You create your own opportunities through action.
So really leaning into this protagonist feeling, it doesn't just change how you feel about life.
No, it changes your impact.
Mm.
You become more resilient, more deliberate, more connected to what truly matters to you. Your life stops being something that just happens to you.
Your life becomes the story you are actively writing.
Chapter by chapter, yeah.
So maybe, just to leave you with something to think about, look around at your life right now, the challenges you're facing, the people you're interacting with. Could those be the optimal challenges or the chemical reactions
Mm.
that are actually the key ingredients for the next really exciting chapter in your own story?
Hmm.
And how are you going to choose to write it?